Representative Eli Crane just asked Governor Tim Walz a simple question. Why are you lying to this committee? Walz said he was not. Crane pointed to Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison's statement that he will not enforce federal immigration laws.
This is an article right here I'd like to submit for the record. Minnesota AG says will not enforce federal immigration laws as DOJ threatens to prosecute officials who resist.
Without objection, so ordered.
Why are you lying to this committee? That is the top law enforcement officer in your state who's saying he will not comply with the federal government.
Walz said state law requires officials to ask for immigration status when a convicted felon is involved. Crane said Ellison is the top law enforcement officer in the state, and he is saying he will not comply. He said Walz is misrepresenting himself. Then Crane asked about free health care, food assistance, driver's licenses, and cash assistance. He said Minnesota has created a magnet for illegal immigration.
Well, Minnesota ranks first in health care. We rank third in safety on our roads.
Let me answer that for you. Okay. It's actually hurting because what
you've created
safer and more prosperous. Created a state that is now a magnet that is drawing illegals.
There is no sanctuary law in Minnesota, Congress.
I know
He asked if Walz thinks calling ICE agents Gestapo helps law enforcement. He played Walz's own words back to him. He said Walz scares people, not because he can fix a truck, but because of his radical left-wing agenda. He said Walz lost white guys by 22 points because of his ideology. He said keep it up, and Republicans will keep destroying Democrats in elections. Let's watch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Walz, you stated in your opening statement the following, but nothing Minnesota has done stands in the way of federal government managing its border security policies.
Okay.
Governor, I want to ask you, why are you lying to this committee?
I am not.
Who's the top law enforcement officer in the state of Minnesota?
The top law enforcement officer? Yep. Attorney General.
Yeah, that's right. What's his name? What's his name?
Are you asking me, do you know his name?
Do you know his name? Do you know his name?
I know the AG Ellison.
This is an article right here I'd like to submit for the record. Minnesota AG says will not enforce federal immigration laws as DOJ threatens to prosecute officials who resist.
Without objection, so ordered.
Why are you lying to this committee? That is the top law enforcement officer in your state who's saying he will not comply with the federal government.
Nothing in his opinion changes the fact that state law requires all state and county officials to ask for immigration status when a convicted felon is convicted.
No, I'm sorry, Governor. He is saying he will not comply with federal laws. That's your top law enforcement officer. You're lying and misrepresenting yourself to this committee. Now I want to ask you this. Do you think in that line of questioning, free health care, food assistance, free college tuition, driver's licenses, and cash assistance, do you think that that's helping or hurting this government manage its border security and policies?
Well, Minnesota ranks first in health care. We rank third in safety on our roads.
Let me answer that for you. Okay. It's actually hurting because what you've created
safer and more
prosperous. You've created a state that is now a magnet that is
There's
drawing
no law.
illegals
There's no sanctuary
to
law in
Minnesota.
Congress.
I know you guys haven't put it that way on the books, but your state has everything, every element in it that is consistent with the sanctuary state.
That's
Moving
incorrect.
on, Mr. Walz. How about you calling ICE agents modern-day Gestapo? That also stands. Do you think that helps our federal government carry out its law enforcement?
I think best practices in law enforcement
policies?
by identifying who you are, identifying the vehicles, and making sure everyone has due process helps our law enforcement. I think covering your faces.
So you think that helps calling our law enforcement agents that? What does ICE stand for, Governor? Immigration, Custom Enforcement, right? These are the guys that are tasked with enforcing immigration, federal immigration laws?
That's right. That's their job. It's not the state's job.
So you think that calling them Gestapo is helping? You're not standing in the way. None of the messaging, none of the rhetoric is standing in the way of this administration doing what they've been tasked to do. Is that what you're saying?
I think what would help them is to follow due process, and when they do these missions, do the things that we expect of law enforcement.
How about when you went on Anderson Cooper, Governor Walz, and you said, how high is this wall? If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in a 30-foot ladder factory. Do you think that helps our federal government carry out its law enforcement, its border security and policy operations?
When did I say that?
You went on Anderson Cooper and said that. Do you not remember saying that? Because you've said so many outlandish things that you can't even keep track of them?
The point being is
the clip is there for everybody. It's there for all Americans. If you guys want to go watch it, it's an easy Google. All right. Governor, you recently went on Gavin Newsom's podcast. You stated in regards to MAGA voters, I scare them a little bit, which is why they spend so much time on me. No, I'm serious because they know I can fix a truck. That's your direct quote. You also said on the show, I think I could kick most of their asses. I want to be very clear with you, Governor. You do scare us a bit, but it's not because you can fix a truck or change a tire. It's actually because of your radical left-wing agenda. You supported putting tampons in boys' bathrooms. You advocated for the disarming of Americans of their Second Amendment rights. You're pro-sanctuary city, as we have uncovered here today. You claim there is no guarantee to free speech when it comes to misinformation and hate speech. That right there is why the American people have such a hard time with you. It's not because we're crazy MAGA people. It's because of your radical left-wing agenda. I want to ask you on that last one where you claim there's no guarantee to free speech. Did you pick that up on one of your 30 trips to communist China, Governor? That sounds a lot like something that they would do. Yes or no?
So I don't believe hate speech has a place in there. Hate speech that incites violence.
Governor Walz, you said that Kamala Harris picked you for vice president to code talk to white guys. How did that work out for this administration? How well did you do with white guys?
I don't have the data.
You lost by 22 points to white guys. And it's because you talk like the way you do, you say the things you do, and you have this radical left-wing ideology. So if you want to continue that rhetoric, go on, brother. Keep doing it. We'll keep destroying you in elections.
And
Thank you, and I yield back.
The people of Minnesota will continue to have me serve them.
Chair recognizes Mr. Ramirez.
Representative Eli Crane just delivered a masterclass in how to hold the governor accountable for his record, his rhetoric, and the actions of his administration. He did not come with a speech. He came with articles. He came with quotes. He came with receipts. And he left no doubt about the answer. The exchange between Crane and Walz was not just a routine oversight hearing. It was a confrontation about the fundamental question of whether a governor's policies and statements match his testimony. It was about whether the American people can trust their elected officials to tell the truth, or whether they will evade, deflect, and hide behind technicalities. Crane began by asking a simple question: why are you lying to this committee? Walz said he was not. Crane pointed to Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison's statement that he will not enforce federal immigration laws. He submitted the article for the record. Walz said state law requires officials to ask for immigration status when a convicted felon is involved. Crane said Ellison is the top law enforcement officer in the state, and he is saying he will not comply. He said Walz is lying and misrepresenting himself. Crane was right. Ellison's statement is public. It is clear. It is a refusal to cooperate with federal immigration enforcement. Walz could not deny it. He could not explain it away. He could only say that state law requires something else. But state law does not override Ellison's statement. Ellison is the top law enforcement officer. His statement matters. His statement reflects the policy of the state. Walz is the governor. He is responsible for the actions of his administration. He cannot distance himself from Ellison's statement. He cannot pretend that Ellison's statement does not matter. He cannot pretend that Minnesota is cooperating with federal immigration enforcement when its top law enforcement officer is saying the opposite. Then Crane turned to the policies. He asked if free health care, food assistance, driver's licenses, and cash assistance are helping or hurting border security. Walz said Minnesota ranks first in health care. Crane said Minnesota has created a magnet for illegal immigration. He said the state has every element consistent with a sanctuary state. He was right. Minnesota offers benefits that attract immigrants. It offers driver's licenses to undocumented immigrants. It offers cash assistance. It offers free college tuition. These policies are not neutral. They are incentives. They encourage people to come to Minnesota. They encourage people to stay in Minnesota. They encourage people to ignore federal immigration laws. Walz could not deny that. He could only deflect. He could only talk about healthcare rankings. He could not explain why Minnesota offers benefits that attract illegal immigration. He could not explain why his state is a magnet. He could not explain why his policies undermine federal immigration enforcement. Then Crane turned to Walz's rhetoric. He asked if calling ICE agents modern-day Gestapo helps law enforcement. Walz said best practice law enforcement involves due process. He did not answer the question. Crane asked again. He said calling federal agents Gestapo does not help. Walz said none of the rhetoric is standing in the way of the administration. Crane was not satisfied. He asked about the latter comment. Walz said he did not remember saying it. Crane said he has said so many outlandish things that he cannot keep track. He told the committee the clip is there for everyone. It is an easy Google. He was right. Walz's rhetoric is on the record. It is extreme. It is inflammatory. It is designed to undermine federal law enforcement. Walz could not defend it. He could only say he did not remember. That is not a defense. That is an evasion. It is a refusal to take responsibility for his own words. The Gestapo comment is particularly damaging. The Gestapo was the Nazi secret police. It was responsible for some of the worst atrocities of the Holocaust. Comparing ICE agents to the Gestapo is not just hyperbolic. It is offensive. It is dangerous. It is designed to dehumanize federal law enforcement officers. It is designed to make them seem like enemies of the people. It is designed to undermine their legitimacy. Walz cannot defend that comment. He cannot explain why it was appropriate. He cannot explain why he thought it was acceptable. He can only say he does not remember. That is not an answer. That is an admission that he has no defense. Then Crane turned to Walz's broader political record. He quoted Walz saying he scares MAGA voters because he can fix a truck. He quoted him saying he could kick most of their asses. Crane said Walz does scare Republicans, but not because he can fix a truck. He said it is because of his radical left-wing agenda. He listed the policies: tampons in boys' bathrooms, disarming Americans of their Second Amendment rights, sanctuary city policies, no guarantee to free speech when it comes to misinformation and hate speech. Crane said that is why the American people have such a hard time with Walz. He asked if Walz picked up his views on free speech on one of his 30 trips to communist China. Walz said he does not believe hate speech that incites violence should be protected. Crane said Walz lost white guys by 22 points because of his ideology. He said if Walz wants to continue that rhetoric, keep doing it. Republicans will keep destroying Democrats in elections. Crane's argument is devastating. He did not need to argue about the merits of Walz's policies. He only needed to show that Walz's testimony does not match his record. He showed that Walz's attorney general is refusing to enforce federal immigration laws. He showed that Walz's state offers benefits that attract illegal immigration. He showed that Walz has called ICE agents Gestapo. He showed that Walz has made inflammatory comments about border security. He showed that Walz has a radical left-wing agenda. He showed that Walz lost white voters by a wide margin. He showed that Walz's rhetoric is a liability. He showed that Walz is not being honest with the committee. He showed that Walz is not being honest with the American people. Walz's defense was weak. He said he was not lying. He said state law requires something else. He said he did not remember his own words. He said his rhetoric is not standing in the way. He did not deny the policies. He did not deny the statements. He did not deny the record. He said he did not remember. That is not a defense. That is an evasion. It is the kind of answer that a politician gives when he does not want to admit what he has said and done. It is the kind of answer that a politician gives when he hopes the committee will move on to the next question. Crane did not move on. He stayed. He pressed. He read the quotes again. He asked the questions again. He did not let Walz off the hook. The larger issue here is not just about Walz. It is about accountability. It is about whether elected officials can be trusted to tell the truth. It is about whether the American people can trust their leaders. Crane argued that they cannot. He argued that Walz is not being honest. He argued that Walz is hiding behind technicalities. He argued that Walz is refusing to take responsibility for his own words and actions. He was right. Walz's testimony was evasive. It was defensive. It was designed to protect him from scrutiny. It was not designed to tell the truth. Crane exposed that. He did his job. He held Walz accountable. He made it clear that the American people deserve better. The hearing ended without Walz offering a meaningful defense. He sat there. He listened. He deflected. He said he did not remember. He did not deny the record. He did not explain the contradictions. He did not say he had changed his mind. He said he did not remember. Crane had done his job. He had held him accountable. He had exposed the contradictions, and he had made it clear that the American people deserve better. The question now is whether the American people will listen. They are watching. They see the evasion. They see the deflection. They see the refusal to take responsibility, and they will make their own judgment.